If you're in the market for a speaker for your electronic drum set, should you go with a drum amp or a PA system? My answer to that's coming up. What's up guys, Justin Greenwald here. Welcome to 65 Drums. This is the place to keep on top of all things e-drum related, so subscribe if you haven't already. So maybe you don't like headphones for your electronic drum set. I personally love headphones, but maybe you want to have an actual speaker. And you're trying to figure out whether or not you should buy like an e-drum amp or a PA system. There are guys on both sides telling you, buy this, buy this, buy this. What's the all-encompassing answer? Sad thing is there is no answer that is right for everybody because we're all in different situations. I might say the best answer for you is this, this, and this, but maybe in your situation it's a little bit different. But I'm trying to give you like an overall picture of e-drum amps versus PA systems, and I'm going to give you a buyer's guide near the end of this video so you can sort of see what you can get for your money depending on what your budget is. So let me start off by saying, what are the pros of buying an e-drum amp? E-drum amps give you the best bang for your buck. They're going to give you like the biggest subwoofer inside of a package as opposed to like a PA system, and they're also going to give it to you at a very low price in a very compact package. You can get a really nice e-drum amp for only like 200 bucks or 300 bucks. They're really, really cheap. A PA system, you're going to have to start spending, 400 bucks before you start getting something decent, but you're going to have to spend a little bit more money to get a PA system. E-drum amps are just really good at handling your drum set. There is a difference in amps for different instruments. Guitar amps handle more of the mid-range frequencies. Keyboard amps, drum amps, they have to handle everything. So that's why keyboard amps are actually kind of similar to drum amps a little bit. So drum amps really thrive off of giving you a great sound for a really low price. You'll also be able to EQ the sound with the EQ knobs, which usually have a really big dent in it, so you can actually EQ with your drumstick if you can't reach the drum amp with your actual hand. Also, there will be an extra line input, so you can plug in one extra instrument. Drum amps are just a great all-in-one small package, and yeah, they sound great. Okay, so what are the advantages of buying a PA system? First off, even though you're going to have to spend a little bit more money if you want to buy a PA system, you're going to get something that is much, much more flexible. With a drum amp, you can only plug in one extra guy. With a PA system, you have almost unlimited potential depending on how large of a soundboard you have. So what if the band wants to practice the earplays tonight? They can if you have a PA system. If all you have in your music basement is your drum set and a drum amp, you can't handle an entire band. They'll have to bring an entire speaker set with them. But if you already have a PA system, the guitarist, the keyboardist, the bass player, they can all plug into the PA system. Everyone's happy. It's a great all-in-one solution. And there are also a lot of little other situations that you don't think of. What if for some reason your main sound system just goes out and you have a gig at a coffee shop tonight? A small little PA system will definitely handle a coffee shop like that, or even a mid-sized venue. Obviously, you'll want a nicer PA system for like a large venue, but for like a coffee shop or sort of like a medium-sized venue, just a regular PA system can handle it in a pinch. Or for example, maybe you have a friend who's got a really tight budget, he's getting married, he needs a DJ for his wedding reception. Bam, your PA system and your cell phone is all you need. Or like a graduation party, you could put up the PA system in the backyard of someone's house. There are a lot of little situations. I know I'm getting way off topic here, but you see what I mean, flexibility. Not only can they work as great drum amps, but they can also be great for if you need to handle an entire band or even just like a DJ application. PA systems give you a lot more options. So let's talk about how you would set it up if you want to use it as a drum amp. PA systems come in two parts. You'll have, your left and your right one. So maybe put your left one like near your hi-hat and then your right one near your secondary floor toms. That way, most of your hi-hat sounds are coming from the left and most of the floor tom sounds are coming from the right. You can map those inside of your drum module if you have like a mid-range style to high-end drum module. And also PA systems end up being a little bit louder, so maybe you'll have like a 1,000-watt PA system you just bought as opposed to a 200-watt drum amp. So you will be getting more volume if you need it for some reason. And also, there is a little bit of crossover here because there are drum amps that are on the higher end that will give you like a three-piece system with a subwoofer here and then maybe two auxiliary speakers that you put underneath your cymbals. That's nice. So you're getting a little bit of crossover between the kind of feel you'll get from a PA as a drum amp versus a drum amp as a drum amp. Some of the disadvantages of a PA system is that they won't put out as much bass as a drum amp until you start spending a little bit of money. Like for the PA systems I have, I've got a JBL set right here with a Samsung subwoofer right there. And of course, I'll be getting more bass out of this than a drum amp. But if I was buying like a lower end PA system to use as my drum amp, I wouldn't be getting quite as much bass because, you know, the subwoofer isn't as big in a PA system as in like a nice Simmons drum amp. That's just something to think about. But PA systems can more than handle your drum set. They do sound really, really nice. They can definitely fit your needs. Quick recap before I get to the buyer's guide. Drum amps are great for probably 80% of drummers. Just go with a drum amp because you're getting a great sound for a low price. PA systems are all about flexibility, so if you want to have a drum amp that can also become the main speaker system in a pinch, or if you want to use it for like a DJing application, it can handle all of that. And on top of that, if you're willing to spend a little bit more money on the PA system, it will sound much better than a drum amp. You just have to start spending a little bit more money. All right, let's get to the buyer's guide. I'm not going to mention every single drum amp manufacturer on the face of the earth. I'm just going to mention a couple of my favorites here. First off, you have the Simmons DA50. This is a great drum amp. You get the EQ knobs, you can plug in an extra instrument, you have an aux input as well, and it's giving you a 10-inch woofer and a tweeter at 50 watts. Nice all-in-one package for $220. I found it on eBay for about $150 if you're willing to buy used, and these things are built like tanks, so if you do buy one of these used, it's gonna be fine. It's not gonna be broken when it arrives in the mail. The next one on this buyer's guide list is the Simmons DA200S. This gives you a lot more power. At 200 watts, you're actually getting about 5 speakers in this configuration. You're getting a 12-inch woofer as opposed to the 10-inch woofer on the cheaper one. You're getting 2 6-inch mid speakers, and then you get 2 half-inch tweeters as well. So you're getting a 5-speaker configuration in a really small package, and it's $350. And I found it on eBay for about $280 if you want to buy it used. I think this is like the sweet spot money-wise on this list. I'm gonna keep going up in price here, but if you wanna have like the best bang for your buck, $280 used, this is the best speaker for you. The next speaker on this list is the Simmons electronic drum monitor system at $500. I know I've talked about pretty much all Simmons drum amps on this list. I don't like their drum sets. I don't like Simmons drum sets, but I think they make great drum amps, and I've used them quite a bit. This one's $500. It's a little bit overkill. You're getting 2 satellite speakers that are both having 4.7-inch speakers inside of them. You got a 10-inch subwoofer, and it's going at about 350 watts for $500. A little bit overkill. There is no sort of listing on eBay yet. This is kind of a newer-ish product, so no one's selling it used yet. But for $500, it's a nice system if you're willing to drop that kind of money. But what if you're like Justin? Come on, $500 is chump change. I want to spend the big bucks and get the best of the best. The best of the best, as of right now, is the Cap Percussion 400 watt 2.1 stereo drum sound system. That is a really long name, but that's the official name of this product, apparently. It's $800. It's the price of a used Roland TD11K. But if you're willing to drop that kind of cash, what you're getting is a 15-inch subwoofer. That's bigger than my Samsung subwoofer over here for these PAs right here. You're getting 2 6-inch satellites, and this is coming in at 400 watts. So you're getting a lot of power right here. Again, this is kind of a newish product, so it's not even listed anywhere on eBay yet. You can't buy it used yet. So $800. If you want to buy this, you got to pay that full price. Now, if I had to compare these two drum monitor systems right here, the thing about the Simmons is that the 2 satellite speakers can actually be put inside of the subwoofer itself. There's this little compartment you can fold it inside of. That's nice if you want to take this around, but if you're just going to set up this permanently in your basement and you don't care about portability, this monster of a drum monitor by Cap Percussion for $800 is awesome. All right, so that was the drum amp buyer's guide section. Let's talk about PA systems here. I'm not going to be able to do like a full PA buyer's guide here because it would go beyond the scope of this video. PA systems run anywhere from $500 all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars. And a lot of the PA systems that I would like to recommend, where it would come with, you know, 2 PA speakers that are really powerful, and then it comes with a soundboard, you can buy it in a bundle like that. A lot of those PA systems start to cost around $1,500, and that's beyond the budget of a drum amp, let's be honest. You can buy cheaper PA systems, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm going to have different PA systems on either this side of the screen or that side of the screen as I'm talking, as I'm explaining the different kinds of PA systems you can buy. There are a couple of different variations here. You have powered and passive speakers. Powered speakers actually plug into an outlet on your wall, and that's all the power they need. Passive speakers, you actually have to have an amplifier. Why does this matter? Because if you're building a PA system where you're buying the 2 speakers and then you bought a soundboard and you think you're ready to go, you're not actually ready to go if those two speakers are passive speakers. These JBLs, they're passive speakers. They sound great, but it has to be plugged into a speaker amplifier. And you have to be careful here because let's say each of these speakers are 500 watts each. I don't know, actually. You'd need to have at least an amplifier that can handle 1,000 watts because each speaker is 500, 500 plus 500 is 1,000. And I know some people actually recommend you buy a little bit more, but that's passive speakers. A simpler setup is just to have two powered speakers running into an unpowered soundboard. So that's the way I would recommend doing this. Now, if you don't want to go hunting and buy each piece separately, there are a couple of different websites that sell bundles. Craft Music is a great one to go look at. I am not affiliated with them at all, but they sell some really nice bundles where you can buy like the soundboard, the speakers, the poles. You'll get a microphone and a microphone stand thrown in the bundle, and all at a pretty decent price if you want to buy new. Also, Musician's Friend, I've seen a bundle or two on that website as well. Buying a bundle is probably the best idea if you're going to buy a PA system because everything is covered. You don't have to worry about, oh, I missed this component and now this whole thing won't work anymore. As long as the bundle says it has everything you need to plug in and play right away. That's what I recommend if you're going to buy a PA system. You can buy a bundle. So another thing you could do, though, is buy an all-in-one system. An all-in-one system is usually a little bit on the lower end. It's usually around $800 and less. All-in-one systems have two speakers. They're usually a little bit on the smaller side. The speaker, like the woofer inside of it, will be around 10 inches, 8 inches, something like that. And it will have a soundboard built into one of the speakers. Or it will let you have like a third piece. So you'll have two speakers plugged into this third piece, which is the soundboard. It looks a little bit like a speaker cabinet. It's really rugged, so even if you bump it around, it's not going to really get damaged. The only problem with these all-in-one systems is that usually they don't have that many inputs on them. Now, on a website, it will say it has 6 or 8 inputs. So you'd think off the top of your head, oh, I can plug in 6 guitars, I'm covered. But really, you can only plug in maybe a couple of guitars and then a couple of microphones, and that's it. So be sure to read the specs before you actually buy any all-in-one system. I do like all-in-one systems though, because they're just really, really simple. It's for the guy that doesn't have a ton of people in his band. Maybe it's him, a bass player, and a singer, and maybe one other instrument. And he's going to use it as his monitor system for the most part. But maybe one weekend a month, they have to use it in a pinch because the main PA system broke. Then maybe this is an option. And then of course you have the flexibility to use it as a DJing application or just for a party or something. Maybe that will work for you as long as there's enough inputs on the back of this thing. But again, the speaker size and how many watts it has usually is a little bit lower. So again, that's another thing to think about. PA systems can get expensive, by the way. So if you're just wanting a drum amp, again, I usually just recommend go buy like a regular Simmons or Cap Percussion drum amp because usually they give you more bang for your buck. Another thing to think about though, if you've decided you want a PA system, is whether or not you need a subwoofer. In my personal opinion, you don't really need a subwoofer right away. You can always add it on later, unless you're buying like an all-in-one system. If you're buying like a regular PA system where you have a soundboard and then 2 speakers, you can always add a subwoofer later on. I recommend just buying the 2 speakers and the soundboard in the bundle, and then maybe adding a subwoofer later on if you realize that you really do want a lot more low end. I can't deny that you do get a lot more low end with a subwoofer. We have this Samsung subwoofer. It sounds really good and it can shake the entire house. Even if you're just using like a keyboard through this setup, I remember there have been nights when the entire floor of my bedroom has just been shaken because someone was playing the keyboard. There's a lot to be said for a subwoofer, but if you're just starting out, getting your PA system, try going without the subwoofer. Most PA systems, if they're really decent PAs, can handle quite a bit of bass on their own. Just something to think about. So let me wrap all this up. I think that drum amps are best for most drummers out there. They just need something so they can hear themselves. If you want to play occasionally with a band, you're going to have to think hard about whether or not you want a PA system, because PA systems are a significant investment of money over what a drum amp would cost. A nice quality drum amp will only cost you $350. Meanwhile, a nice quality PA system could cost you $1,000. If you've got that kind of money lying around, maybe go for it, because you will get a superior sound out of a PA system, especially if you pair that with a subwoofer. Of course, it will sound better than any drum amp out there. but it does cost quite a bit more. So for most drummers, I do recommend the amp, but if you think that you will be needing to use this PA system for your band quite frequently, or if you do some sort of side gigs as a DJ, or if you need to use it for a lot of parties and stuff, then maybe think about getting a PA system. Also remember, I know I'm rambling a lot here, but also remember drum amps are very similar to keyboard amps. So if you have a keyboard amp lying around, use the keyboard amp. In fact, some companies have pretty much the same components inside of a keyboard amp as their drum amp line. I'm talking about Roland here. Like the Roland drum amp and the Roland keyboard amp are very similar. The drum amp actually costs a little bit more because it has that V-Drums logo, and Roland knows they can charge more for electronic drum type gear. Stay away from guitar amps. They're designed for guitars. Guitars are more of like a mid-rangey instrument, and bass amps, I don't think bass amps are the best for electronic drums either, because you'd think that a bass amp would be perfect because of the great low end, but you got to think of the high end too, because you know the crack of the snare, the cymbals, you need a lot of the highs there as well. I hope this video helped you out. I tried to be as thorough as possible. I am not the speaker expert, but I tried to do research for this video, and I have used quite a few different PA systems and drum amps, and these are just my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate that you watched all the way to the end. Click the bell icon if you've already subscribed so you keep on top of all the new videos I make, and also check me out on Facebook. See you guys in a few.